She had no rank, but everyone followed her orders. Why? It started with a system failure no one expected. At 0422 hours, the West Ridge command base lost all internal comms. Surveillance, radar, encrypted links dead. Screens went black, protocols froze. It was the kind of silence that didn't just feel dangerous, it felt designed. Colonel Bryce stormed into the operations center, boots slamming against tile. "Get this grid back online now." He barked out. Technicians scrambled. No one knew what had happened. No external interference, no sign of attack. Just silence. Then she walked in. Her ID badge read Eva Halden, administrative personnel. No rank. No clearance beyond level 2. Desk job, filing, scheduling. Coffee. Bryce narrowed his eyes. "This area is restricted." "I know," Eva said. Voice even. I said, "Your backup relay system failed because the auxiliary failsafe was miscalibrated after last week's firmware update," she said calmly. "It's rerouting all signal verification to a dead node. I need 3 minutes on console B and one of your engineers." The room went quiet. Bryce stared at her. "How the hell do you know that?" Eva didn't answer. She just moved toward the console. No one stopped her. 2 minutes and 28 seconds later, the screens flickered. COMMS returned. The grid rebooted. External links reestablished. Internal AI systems realigned. Base security was restored. No one said anything. They just stared at her. Eva stood up and brushed the dust from her sleeves. Bryce cleared his throat. "Who gave you that diagnostic protocol?" She turned her eyes on him, sharp, precise, calculating. "No one," she said. "I wrote it." That night, deep in the lower levels of the base, Bryce requested her personnel file. Most of it was redacted. No previous military assignment. No formal technical education. No documented deployment history, but one note wasn't blacked out. Embedded asset. Do not evaluate through traditional ranking systems. If engaged, obey protocols initiated by Subject Halden. Clearance, Omega Blue. Bryce leaned back in his chair, stunned. She wasn't a secretary. She was the contingency. And he had just watched the real chain of command shift without a single promotion. By morning, the rumors had already spread. Some said she was NSA, others whispered CIA, or worse, something black budget and nameless, but none of them approached her. Eva Halden walked through the base like a shadow that had always been there. But now, suddenly visible, Colonel Bryce watched from the command deck, arms crossed. "Why didn't anyone tell me we had a handler on site?" He snapped at his executive officer. The XO shook his head. "Because officially we don't." Bryce handed over the redacted file. "Omega Blue clearance. She's not just embedded. She's autonomous." The XO hesitated. So ... "She can override your orders?" "She already did," Bryce muttered. "And I let her." Down in the system's vault, Eva stood before a wall of servers humming softly in the cold air. She had requested access to a specific node sector 17A, a directory that hadn't been touched in 5 years. A technician named Ramos accompanied her, trying not to show how nervous he was. This file stream is legacy format," he said. "We don't even use this interface anymore." "I do," Eva replied simply. She entered a manual key code 12 digits. Unbroken, and the system responded instantly. On screen, a cascade of old data appeared. Comms logs, training simulations, metadata strings, and a list.site echo. Status. Reactivation detected. Ramos squinted. "What's site echo?" Eva didn't answer right away. Then softly, "It's not a where, it's a who." Later that afternoon, Bryce confronted her in the intelligence lounge. "Why? Are you here, really?" Eva looked up from the screen. "There's chatter," she said. "Old frequencies, dead agents pinging back to life. They're either being used or someone's faking them. Either way, we need to know. And site echo?" He asked. Eva's expression didn't change. "It was part of a classified experimental. Unit 1 that was decommissioned after a breach. The project was meant to train autonomous field agents with embedded command algorithms. They were designed to lead under collapse conditions. And let me guess, Bryce said. You were one of them. Eva didn't confirm. But she didn't deny it either. That night, Ramos went back to the data logs Eva had accessed. He tried to dig deeper. He tried to trace her clearance, but the screen flashed red. Access denied. This attempt has been logged. And beneath it, a single line. Do not interfere with Protocol Halden. Ramos backed away from the console, heart-pounding because now he knew. She wasn't working with the system. She was the system. At exactly 2:13 a.m., the base's long-range surveillance system registered a ping-encoded signal buried within a standard satellite telemetry packet. Unusual, but not alarming. Until Eva decoded it manually. Buried deep in the signal was an old call sign, Echo-3. She stared at the console for several seconds, her breath steady. Echo 3 had been presumed dead 5 years ago, lost during the collapse of the experimental unit she once belonged to. Official reports claimed a failed exfiltration. No body was recovered. No trace, just silence. Until now. Eva tapped a code into her secure tablet, initiating protocol recall. A silent alarm triggered somewhere inside the Pentagon. Someone somewhere was already watching. Colonel Bryce was summoned at 3:04. He arrived in a hoodie and boots. Still half asleep but fully alert. What is it this time? He asked. Eva turned the tablet toward him. The signal was still pulsing, repeating every 30 seconds. This isn't just a data leak, she said. This is a test pattern. Someone is mimicking Echo class frequencies. You're saying it's fake? I'm saying it's bait. Bryce's jaw clenched. And what happens if we bite? Eva didn't blink. Then they'll know who's still alive. Elsewhere on the base, Technician Ramos was having second thoughts. He'd been digging, quietly, obsessively ever since he saw the locked prompt bearing her name. Something about her terrified him, not in the way monsters do. In the way black holes do, too silent, too dense, too impossible to understand. He accessed a backup server from an off-the-record terminal. He bypassed firewalls with an old exploit and opened a buried archive file labeled Arden. Inside were images, training footage, operatives moving like ghosts through urban environments, forests, war zones, faces half-blurred. Names absent, but one image was clear. Eva Halden, maybe 19 at the time, standing alone in a command center, flanked by 5 generals, all saluting her, and then a handwritten note scanned in the file. She's not one of them. She's what we use when all of them fail. Back in the systems vault, Eva stood alone, watching the ping cycle one more time. She whispered a single word into the dark. Echo 3. Not a question. Not a warning, a memory. And just as the pulse hit 0 o'clock, her screen lit up with a second signal encrypted differently, sharper, smarter. This one wasn't bait. It was a reply. If you're reading this, you're next. By morning, the second signal had vanished. No trace. No code fragment. No digital footprint. It was as if it had never happened. But Eva remembered the words clearly. If you're reading this, you're next. She didn't report it. She didn't need to, because the warning wasn't meant for the system. It was meant for her. In the operations center, Colonel Bryce was already reviewing satellite diagnostics. The night crew had flagged anomalies near a decommissioned military outpost 2 states over nothing concrete. Just unexplained power surges and thermal spikes underground. Eva didn't even glance at the footage. It's a decoy, she said. They're drawing us outward. We stay put. Bryce frowned. So we do nothing? We listen, she said. They want us to speak first. We won't. He watched her for a long moment. You've done this before. Once, she said softly. Later that afternoon, Technician Ramos found something he wasn't supposed to. He'd been backtracking the original signal through a shadow, relay buried under outdated encryption, something from the Arden architecture. Long since dismantled, and then suddenly his screen blinked. Intrusion detected. Trace enabled, terminate session immediately. His heart raced. He yanked the drive. Too late, he turned. Eva was standing in the doorway. You accessed Arden? She asked quietly. Ramos nodded. I didn't know what I was looking for. But someone's already inside, Eva. They're not coming. They're here. Eva stepped forward. What did you see? Ramos swallowed hard. A location ping. It came from the space. East Sector. Room 6C. Eva's jaw clenched. Room 6C hadn't been used in over 6 years. They entered the wing together, Eva first. Pistol drawn. The hallway smelled of mold and metal. Dust coated every surface. But there was no mistaking the fresh footprints on the floor dot inside room 6C. The lights flickered dimly. A single desk, a chair, a terminal powered on. Someone had been there. Dash recently dot and on the screen. Eva Halden, contingency status, failed subject to neutralization protocol. Agent assigned, Echo 3. Ramos stepped back. Echo 3 is alive? No, Eva whispered. Worse, he's been reactivated. She stepped toward the console, scanning the code. Encrypted, triple-layered, but the structure was familiar hers. She had written the original sequence years ago. Now it was turned against her. He's using your protocols, Ramos said. He's not using them, Eva replied. He's improving them. Somewhere deep beneath another forgotten facility, a man in gray sat alone in front of a flickering monitor. His face was half-lit, calm, focused. Subject Halden has engaged, he said into a microphone. Proceeding with Phase 2. Target will lead us to the rest. He smiled. Sometimes the best way to track a weapon is to let it run. Eva didn't speak for a long time. She stood in the center of room 6C, staring at the monitor, the code, the phrase that repeated like a whisper across time. Contingency status. Failed. They're trying to flip the protocol on you. Ramos said quietly. Eva's eyes narrowed. Not trying. They already did. Back in the command center, Colonel Bryce slammed a report onto the desk. Explained to me how a supposedly terminated Black Ops agent just accessed one of our internal systems from inside the base. Eva didn't flinch. Because Echo 3 was. Never terminated. He was archived. Bryce blinked. Archived? Wiped from record, not erased, stored, like a virus. A sleeper file waiting to be recompiled. She turned to a screen and pulled up a map of the facility's old data lattice. Dozens of dormant nodes pulsed in gray. Someone activated him using Arden's old code structures, mine. Bryce looked at her, suspicion creeping into his voice. Why yours? Eva hesitated, then met his eyes. Because I trained him. Flashback. 6 years ago, a dim underground training facility. 2 operatives sparred in silence. One moved fast, precise. The other slower, but relentless. Every strike he took, he studied, learned, adapted. Eva stood on the platform above, clipboard in hand, watching. He doesn't blink when he's hit. An analyst whispered beside her. He doesn't need to, Eva replied. He's not here to dodge. He's here to calculate. Calculate what? How we break. Back in the present, Ramos stared at the screen in disbelief. Echo 3. He was designed to mimic you? Eva shook her head. No, I was designed to lead. He was. Designed to replace. That night, a breach alarm rang out. Sector 4 perimeter dash compromised. Bryce initiated lockdown. Teams deployed. Turrets armed. Drones scrambled. Eva watched from the shadows. Unmoved. And her personal com crackled to life. No ID. Just a voice. You're watching for the wrong threat. I'm not outside the gates, Eva. I never left. She froze. Echo 3 was already inside. Moments later, chaos erupted. An explosion in the drone bay. Fire suppression activated. Infirmary cameras went dark. One guard found unconscious, credentials stolen. And in the surveillance logs, only 3 seconds of video remained. A man in standard base uniform. Moving calmly, carrying nothing. Smiling faintly, but Eva knew that walk, that timing. That patience. It was him. She raced to the archives. Inside, the original Arden hard drive was missing. He had what he needed. He wasn't just targeting Eva, he was becoming her. By sunrise, every secure system on the base had been rebooted, not because of a cyber attic, because Eva ordered it. This is overkill, Bryce said, watching the network purge itself sector by sector. No, Eva replied. This is survival. She stood beside him, arms crossed, face still. But her mind raced. Echo 3 wasn't after sabotage or destruction. He was after something much harder to fight. Identity. In the lower level operations archive, Ramos was going through surveillance logs when he found it, a short clip, labeled manually, not by the system, a recording from the day before. Eva speaking to a junior officer. Calm, focused. Except Ramos paused the frame. The real. Eva had a burn scar on her left hand from a mission 2 years ago. The woman in the video did not. He called Bryce immediately. Upstairs, Eva was already reviewing internal access logs. Someone had entered her quarters last night using a level 6 override coders. But she had never left the server room. Bryce stormed in with Ramos at his heels. We may have a deeper problem, Bryce said. Eva didn't look up. He's cloning access. No, Ramos said. He's cloning you. Eva slowly turned. Explain. Ramos pulled up the video. 2 versions of her operating in 2 places at nearly the same time. That's not an imposter, he said. That's someone who knows exactly how you move, how you think, how you talk. Eva narrowed her eyes. He's not copying me. He's running the same programming. Flashback, Arden Black Box Session 21, a lab filled with military psychologists and neural engineers. Eva sat still in a chair surrounded by electrodes. We're not just training operatives, the director said. We're building thought architecture, command instinct embedded at the decision-making level. And what happens if someone else gets that architecture? One analyst asked. The director smiled coldly. Then we have a war between ghosts. That afternoon, Bryce gathered every senior officer for a lockdown briefing. Eva stood silently as he explained that a hostile agent had penetrated their systems. He is manipulating clearances, movements, identities. Trust no access badge. No order, no image feed. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. And what about her? One asked, nodding at Eva. Bryce looked at her. She stays in command, he said. Because if he's wearing her skin, she's the only one who knows how to tear it off. Eva didn't flinch, but inside, she felt the weight of the truth settle fully on her shoulders. This wasn't just about Echo 3 anymore. This was about a system that made 2 of her, and now couldn't tell the difference. The trap was set at 3 o'clock hours. Sector 9, level Silong abandoned, intentionally left unsecured. Just enough heat signatures, just enough motion. A perfect lure. Eva stood in the shadows of the old targeting room, watching monitors loop fake. Patrol feeds, Bryce's voice crackled in her cum. You sure he'll take the bait? He's not after information, Eva replied. He's after confirmation. Of what? That he's already won. Footsteps echoed in the hall. Slow, unhurried. Familiar. Eva turned off her cum. The door opened, and there he was. Same eyes. Same gait. Same unreadable calm. Echo 3 stepped into the room like he belonged there. I knew you'd come alone, he said. I always do, Eva replied. They stood 5 feet apart. No weapons drawn. You've been trying to replace me, she said. No, he replied. I've been proving I could do it better. Eva nodded. Then why copy me? Echo 3 smirked. Because you were the only thing they feared. They circled each other slowly. You weren't created for leadership, Eva said. You were created to obey. And you were created to win, he countered. But you hesitated. You played human. Someone had to, she said. A pause. Then Echo 3 reached inside his jacket and tossed a flash drive onto the floor. Everything they ever did to us, he said. Every override, every code injection. I pulled it from the Arden core. You destroy me, you destroy the only proof. Eva stared at the drive. That's not proof. That's bait. You're right, he said, and he lunged out. The fight was fast. Brutal, no wasted movement. Every strike Eva landed, Echo 3 anticipated. Every move he made, she blocked. They were mirror images trained from the same template, evolved down different paths. She moved with strategy. He moved with instinct. They crashed into the console, sparks flying. He grabbed her throat. You're not better than me. I'm not, she gasped. I'm just done being you. She slammed her elbow into his temple, twisted free, and pinned him. Her gun was already drawn. He didn't flinch. If you kill me, he whispered, they'll replace us both. Eva nodded. Double quotes, not if I erase the code. She pulled the trigger. A single shot. Echo 3 slumped to the floor, calm, still, almost at peace. Eva picked up the drive. Later that night, deep within the mainframe vault, she connected to the Arding core. One last time. And then, with a single command line, she did what no one else had dared. Run. Protocol_Eva_terminate. Override confirm? Weighing greater than Y, the screen blinked. Then turned black. 2 weeks later, the base had returned to normal. Officially, the breach never happened. Unofficially, all EVA-class protocols were dismantled. The Arden system was buried permanently. Ramos transferred to cyber defense. Bryce submitted early retirement. Eva? She walked away. No rank. No title. No badge. Just silence. And in that silence, something she hadn't felt in years. Control. Asterisk. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. In a world where silence hides power and identity can be manufactured, one woman chose to fight not just her enemy, but the version of herself the system tried to create. If this story moved you, even for a moment, we're honored you were part of it. Don't forget to subscribe for more cinematic storytelling. Share your thoughts below. What would you do if your own shadow turned against you? Until next time, beneath the echo where the quiet ones carry the loudest truths.